Remember, they apparently went through a whole lot together. Russia.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt.
Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
For him to say, listen, we know that the complaint you're making isn't really happening, but, for the sake of, we'll appease you anyway. So it was kind of expected that Canada was going to retaliate because a trade war is not really good for anyone. So Justin Trudeau is still being the leader of Canada. He's still being the prime minister until election is called. What they're now going to do is their strategy is they're going to implement the $155 billion of tariffs. Guided tariffs, I would call them. So we gave a speech in regards to Canada's response, so let's go check that out. Allow me to preface for a second that before going over this speech that Justin Trudeau gave earlier in the day, Donald Trump, to the best of my knowledge, did hear what was said and then replied with, please explain to Governor Trudeau, which is already disrespectful, of Canada, that when he puts on a retaliatory tariff on the U.S., our reciprocal tariff will immediately increase by a like amount.
You have stupid MAGA brain.
The gaslighting is next level because for you to hit someone, then when they defend themselves, they hit you back, and then you say, hey, what the hell? If you hit me like that, I'm going to hit you harder. So imagine that the agitator is actually mad at the person that's responding.
Damn!
But let's listen to this.
The United States launched a trade war against Canada, their closest partner and ally, their closest friend. At the same time, they're talking about working positively with Russia, appeasing Vladimir Putin, a lying, murderous dictator. Make that make sense.
It doesn't. It actually doesn't make any sense. The moment you see headlines like the U.S. suspends offensive cyber operations against Russia, and then you see the U.S. joins Russia, North Korea, Belarus to vote against UN resolution on Ukraine war, or even when you see this idea being floated around that Russia says it won't rejoin G7 after Donald Trump floats the idea to him, to Putin I mean. When you start to see headlines like that one pop up all day, it makes things start to make sense why he won't call Putin a dictator, but he'll call Zelensky a dictator.
You can't be this dumb.
Why he won't say Putin started the war, but he'll say Zelensky started the war, or he instigated the war. Remember, they apparently went through a whole lot together. Russia.
Oh, don't look so shocked.
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony...
Canadians are reasonable, and we are polite.
True.
But we will not back down from a fight. Not when our country and the well-being of everyone in it is at stake. At the moment, the U.S. tariffs came into effect in the early hours of this morning, and so did the Canadian response.
More so to the point that he's making, where he said that all Canadians are actually being affected by this. It is literally every single Canadian. Because if the tariffs are for more than just a border and it's meant to absorb Canada as Trudeau thinks, then what you are asking Canada to do is no longer exist as a sovereign nation.
No, it's not.
In which case, Canada no longer exists. So this is why I say it affects every Canadian, not just a few.
Canada will be implementing 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
Ouch.
Starting with tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods immediately, and tariffs on the remaining $125 billion of American products in 21 days' time. Encore aujourd'hui, on se voit forcé d'imposer des droits de douane de 25. We will also be challenging these illegal actions by filing dispute resolution claims at the World Trade Organization and through the USMCA. But in the meantime, our tariffs will remain in place until the U.S. tariffs are withdrawn, and not a moment sooner. And should these tariffs not cease, we are in active and ongoing discussions with provinces and territories to pursue several non-tariff measures.
By non-tariff measures, I think he's specifically talking about what Doug Ford was looking to implement, which is cut energy from states like Michigan, New York, or Minnesota. That's a little heavier than a tariff because Canada supplies the U.S. with a lot of energy. Cheap.
No, it's not.
Measures which will demonstrate that there are no winners in a trade war.
True.
Now, just like I did a month ago, I want to speak first.
Before he continues to speak, there are winners in a trade war.
Now he's a philosophizer.
The regular, everyday, middle class, and then lower, yeah, those aren't winners. Those are people that get hit the hardest. The winners in a trade war, though, are the people that have a lot. And I'm not just talking like you have enough. No, I'm talking about the people that have a lot. The Elon Musks, the Bezos, the Zuckerbergs. Yeah, those guys, when there's a trade war, they thrive off of this stuff because as the economy continues to go down, they prep their money in order for them to buy up all of the stuff that goes down. What, do you think during the Great Depression, people didn't make off with bank?
Now, just like I did a month ago, I want to speak first directly to the American people. We don't want this. We want to work with you as a friend and ally. And we don't want to see you hurt either. But your government has chosen to do this to you. As of this morning, markets are down, and inflation is set to rise dramatically all across your country. Your government has chosen to put American jobs at risk, at the thousands of workplaces that succeed because of materials from Canada or because of consumers in Canada, or both. They've chosen to raise costs for American consumers on everyday essential items like groceries and gas, on major purchases like cars and homes, and everything in between.
The crazy thing about this is, and this is the part that I find a little bit agitating, is because all through Joe Biden's run, you heard prices are rising, inflation is rising. Anytime Joe Biden gave a speech, anytime he said anything and there would be a price that would rise, people would say that the reason that they voted for Donald Trump was because he ran on one thing. He's going to bring prices down. He's going to make things more affordable again. But now when there's a clear mandate in your face telling you that everything is about to go up, you see that same crowd cheering this on, saying, hey, I'd rather buy American. I'd rather do this. I'd rather pay $6,000 for my iPhone if it's made in America. What happened to cheaper prices? Well, eggs are rising. Well, I'm fine with that. Groceries are going up. I'm fine with that. Houses are now 10 times more expensive. Yeah, all of a sudden that crowd is no longer having an issue with prices going up. Trump's one clear mandate that he ran on, he's not delivering on. He said, I'm going to bring down prices immediately. No one's holding him to that. But yet it's American to fire federal employees.
You're fired. There's the door.
It's American to give a $4.5 trillion tax cut.
I'm going to the moon.
It's American to say that you want to raise the debt ceiling.
The Consumer Protection Bureau. You're right, it is too late. So hopefully
It's now American for Russia to say that America and Russia's visions all align.
Right.
It's American to say that you want to exile Palestinians and turn Gaza into... Actually, that is American. Never mind. Let's continue.
They've chosen to harm American national security, impeding access to the abundant critical minerals, energy, building materials, and fertilizers that we have and that the United States needs to grow and prosper. They've chosen to launch a trade war that will, first and foremost, harm American families. They've chosen to sabotage their own agenda that was supposed to usher in a new golden age for the United States.
And that's the external things they're doing. Waging a trade war with Canada, waging a trade war with Mexico, more trade wars with China. Internally, the math for some of the things that they're looking to implement just doesn't work until you touch Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. On top of which, you're firing employees left and right and making it so that Big Balls is apparently in charge.
What?
Their own agenda that was supposed to usher in a new golden age for the United States. And they've chosen to undermine the incredible work we've done together to tackle the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that must be wiped from the face of the earth.
Agreed.
So on that point, let me be crystal clear. There is absolutely no justification or need whatsoever for these tariffs today.
True.
Now, the legal pretext your government is using to bring in these tariffs is that
Fentanyl.
Canada is apparently unwilling to help in the fight against illegal fentanyl. Well, that is totally false. let's look at the facts. Our border is already safe and secure. Far less than 1% of fentanyl flows and less than 1% of illegal crossings into the United States comes from Canada. But we acted because we know we can always do better. We responded to concerns, including from the President, by implementing an ambitious $1.3 billion border plan.
He's such a smart aleck. For him to say, listen, we know that the complaint you're making isn't really happening, but, you know, for the sake of, we'll appease you anyway. That's in a gist what he was saying.
A border plan that includes generational investments in new AI and imaging tools to stop the flow of fentanyl in its tracks, stronger coordination and information sharing with American agencies, along with the deployment of drones, helicopters, and additional personnel to keep our border secure. Now, a month ago, as part of an agreement with the United States that paused the tariffs, we made further commitments.
Okay.
We appointed Kevin Brasseau as our fentanyl czar, a man who dedicated his multi-decade career in law enforcement to combating organized crime networks and drug trafficking. We designated 7 drug cartels, sick, evil groups who cynically profit off the pain and suffering of people on both sides of the border, as the terrorist organizations that they are.
That's crazy. Trudeau just made up a job.
We launched a new joint operations partnership supported by a $200 million investment between Canada's security and law enforcement agencies, a partnership that will enhance the coordination of information and intelligence in order to thwart criminal gangs involved in the illegal fentanyl trade. And critically, our actions are working. As the U.S. Customs and Border Protection just acknowledged, there was a 97% drop in fentanyl seizures from January compared to December, to a near zero low of less than half an ounce seized in January, even with all.
Admittedly, I have to give it to him. Those are actually really good numbers, because the amount of fentanyl that they were already saying comes across the border was less than 1%. Now imagine wiping off from that less than 1%, about another 97% of that. That means like literally it's a pocketful. So if true, hell, good job.
The further enforcements and actions even with all the further enforcements and actions we've taken at the borders. In sum, we stepped up. We engaged closely and constructively with the President and his administration. We did everything we promised. We stuck to our word. And we did it because we believe in working together to protect our citizens. Now I want to speak directly to one specific American.
Oh boy. Is it just me? Is it just me? Or does he not look pissed? He actually looks mad. Trudeau's the type that doesn't get mad, though. He's like the type that gets disappointed.
Donald, in the over 8 years you and I have worked together, we've done big things. We signed a historic deal that has created record jobs and growth in both of our countries. We've done big things together on the world stage, as Canada and the U.S. have done together for decades, for generations.
Only one of y'all did a carbon tax, though. Come on.
And now we should be working together to ensure even greater prosperity for North Americans in a very uncertain and challenging world. Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
Oh, shit.
We two friends fighting is exactly what our opponents around the world want to see. And now, to my fellow Canadians. I won't sugarcoat it. This is going to be tough, even though we're all going to pull together, because that's what we do. We will use every tool at our disposal so Canadian workers and businesses can weather this storm. From expanding EI benefits and making them more flexible to providing direct supports to businesses, we will be there as needed to help.
I don't think I need to explain this one, but EI is employment insurance just in case when you lose your job, which jobs are going to be lost naturally, especially in the auto sector. It's to be expected. Steel work, whichever. Any of these areas that are really getting hit, I'm pretty sure, even in the LICBO. Yeah, those type of jobs, you know there's going to be some kind of pullback from companies because they have to downsize, however they have to. So extending EI employment means that people can kind of sustain just a little bit more off of the back of the government, which is needed because they didn't bring this upon themselves. So I just want to kind of put that one out there.
But Canada, make no mistake, no matter how long this lasts, no matter what the cost, the federal government and other orders of government will be there for you. We will defend Canadian jobs. We will take measures to prevent predatory behavior that threatens Canadian companies because of the impacts of this trade war, leaving them open to takeovers. We will relentlessly fight to protect our economy. We will stand up for Canadians every single second of every single day because this country is worth fighting for. Les derniers mois
The recent months have been stressful and, in fact, exhausting for all of us. Languages have different religions, but
Oh my gosh, she's still going.
in our country, we speak with a single voice and walk hand in hand. In spite of all, Canadians will always be relying on each other.
Now, we've been through tough spots before. But every time we've faced long odds and seemingly insurmountable obstacles, we've not only survived, we've emerged stronger than ever. Because when it comes to defending our great nation, there is no price we all aren't willing to pay. And today is no different. Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Merci beaucoup. I have to agree with them. These are unjustified tariffs. These are unnecessary tariffs. If you wanted to do what was best for the nation or what's best for both nations, then you would work with the Prime Minister in order for you to implement some strategy. If you're not satisfied with the first deal in the USMCA, you could make another deal. If it's just tariffs, 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 if that's your only strategy, then I have to think that this is more than just trying to get a good deal. This is actually trying to absorb, and in which case, Trudeau might be right. This is about the minerals. What I find kind of weird is Howard Lutnick going on CNN and saying that the tariffs might actually be reversed. Not paused, but reversed. And then the stock market reacting by it going down.
He's going to come out today angry that Americans are still being killed. Now, both the Mexicans and the Canadians were on the phone with me all day today trying to show that they'll do better. And the president's listening because you know he's very, very fair and very reasonable. So I think he's going to work something out with them. It's not going to be a pause. None of that pause stuff, but I think he's going to figure out, you do more, and I'll meet you in the middle some way, and we're going to probably be announcing that tomorrow. So somewhere in the middle will likely be the outcome, the president moving with the Canadians and Mexicans, but not all the way.
Just to clarify, you...
Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and I will see you again on the next one. What did they say? Vive la Canada. Be easy, y'all.